I think it was brilliant. I know from a few colleagues who are out there, they said the atmosphere and the kind of hype behind it was bigger than they'd ever seen. I think it was difficult sometimes to get that from here because obviously it was in Australia and New Zealand, but I know from a football standpoint, it was so exciting, so unpredictable, and I think we saw a lot of smaller nations in the tournament who maybe usually have struggled do a lot better, and it kind of shows that kind of growth and investment that's going into the women's game in the last 4 years since the last World Cup.
So England appear to have been fairly gripped by the tournament, as you just mentioned. England's first senior football team to reach a World Cup final since 1966. It's quite powerful stuff. What does a World Cup do for young players, boys and girls especially?
I mean, it does a lot. I think, especially in the semi-finals and the final, we saw the hype grow massively around the England team, the Lionesses, and obviously they won the Euros last year, and that had such a big impact in terms of visibility. And it's a cliche, but people say if you can't see it, you can't be it. And I think for young girls and for young boys to see women on that stage doing incredible things in a sporting arena which has for so long been dominated by men, it's really powerful. I think it can really change people's perceptions, young and old, but for young people it will help them to kind of feel inspired and feel like they can do it if they can see these women on such a huge stage doing it too.
So what challenges and obstacles does women's sports face?
I mean, women's sport on a whole, I don't think we have enough time to talk about the challenges, really. I think from a football standpoint, and we saw at this World Cup, even the world champions have challenges that they're going through. The world champions Spain, only a year ago, they had 15 players that wrote an open letter to their federation, effectively went on strike asking for better conditions. So there's a lot of challenges. You see the prize money at the World Cup compared to the men's World Cup, it's a lot smaller, and I think the investment that goes into the teams and into the development of those teams has still got a long way to go to catch up. Even the Lionesses aren't earning nearly as much as what their male counterparts are when they play domestic football. So there's a lot of catching up to do, and this tournament was a great way to showcase just what women can do and what they can do when they have resources behind them.
So investment has been a talking point here locally with the women's national team. What are your hopes for them?
I hope the women get the same opportunities as the men. I think you see so many really talented players who are going and playing abroad, and they want the best for local football, and they want the best for the Gibraltar national team in the same way as they would for the men. So I hope that they get the same investment. I hope they get the same opportunities to play, and I hope that happens quickly. If you don't have grassroots sport at the same level on the girls' side as the boys' side, then they're not gonna get to the same level as the men do. So I think that's huge. I think when it comes to schooling as well, I think it's about changing attitudes. Like if you remember being in school and whether girls are encouraged in the same way as boys to become part of school sports environments, that's just as important, because sometimes that's the kind of gateway to inspiring a girl to take up sport. There has to be the kind of setups, the coaching, all of that element around them. So obviously grassroots is huge for sure.
You've had an exciting few months. What's next for you?
Yeah, I have. Busy and exciting. I mean, I'm just going to keep reporting on women's sport. It's a passion of mine, sport and women's sport specifically. And I've started a podcast of my own where I'm interviewing women in sport about their experiences, about some of the challenges and obstacles that they've come across simply for being a woman in a sporting environment. And it's been really interesting, and to kind of understand their experiences and to put it on a platform. So hopefully doing more of that alongside my day job, which is women's sport dominated all the time.
Are there any key differences in the way women's sports are marketed and promoted compared to the men's sports, and how has this contributed to their growth or lack of thereof?
Yeah, there's huge differences. I think it's catching up a little bit, but if we look at women's football in particular, the fact that they're playing at smaller grounds, that's a huge kind of marketing difference, in that you're marketing to only have a crowd of 3,000 compared to having a crowd of 30,000 for a men's match. And we've seen in recent years in the UK, in the WSL there, how clubs like Arsenal, for example, and Chelsea have started to host their women's games at their main stadiums, and they've had huge crowds, record-breaking crowds. We've seen the Lionesses playing at Wembley instead of playing at smaller stadiums, and I think it shows kind of the opportunity there is there for federations and for clubs to actually put women on a bigger stage, market them to more people, have TV broadcast deals and all that kind of thing. That's all catching up in the last 5 years, and it's been huge. So there's been big differences in the past, but hopefully things are moving into a kind of more equal direction.